Matt. Let me switch the camera so we can all get ourselves in a picture now.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
And
Happy post-Oscar day.
exactly, yes, the Oscars were good last night. They were,
Oh, Diane's coming over here.
yes,
Hi,
yes.
Diana.
But the one thing
Yeah.
though, I just have to say when Jane Fonda came on, I did switch a channel and watch.
Jane Fonda's still alive?
She's still alive.
All right, 81,
Yeah,
81.
but when she
81.
did come on, I did switch.
Look good?
I did switch the channel.
I mean, for age
watched the movie on Netflix, The Coldest Game, which mentions about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know you hate Jane Fonda.
Well, I just don't like radical extremism. That's I actually posted a comment on Facebook about climate change. That if we want to get climate change done, let the scientists, engineers, and doers work, and let the critical middle managers go someplace else. Have a cup of coffee, have a beer, smoke whatever you want, but just leave us alone and let us work, please.
Yeah, smoke them if you got
No
them,
more micromanagement of Obama.
right?
Yep, and
Man,
no more,
smoke 'em if you got 'em.
yeah, and no more micromanagement of the radical fringe of either side, the left and the right. Just let us work, we'll solve it, but we can't work if you keep going this. Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Will make me pull my wig off and even pull my hair out. We can't work, queer people can't work.
Shotgun blast comes through the door.
We'll give you.
I'm done.
Yeah, we'll give you updates, we'll give you reports, we'll give you data. You don't need to say Greta, you don't need to say Jane Fonda, we'll give you data, show you the data, but we don't want, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Or are we there yet? Are we there yet? So please, you want climate change solved, let engineers, scientists, and other doers.
Oh, definitely.
Like ourselves and others,
Definitely.
work, and work without micromanagement. Just give us enough money so we can work and we don't starve ourselves.
All right, you guys, I'm gonna ask you a little, in your opinion, I think the problem is we need some kind of collegiate, a scientific member, a man or a woman to become president of the United States. The scientist would be, wonderful, kind of like, I suppose, maybe charismatic, like Doctor Who,
Oh, okay.
kind of thing.
Doctor Who, I loved him.
But yeah,
My brother Fred liked
Yeah,
him.
well, also on my Facebook post, I mentioned that we need to get back. Quinn, who's a friend of mine, she posted up, would you believe on Sunday, Antarctica reached 65 degrees Fahrenheit?
yeah, I saw that.
65
Yeah,
degrees
it broke
Fahrenheit,
all records.
65.
The Antarctica
basically,
reached
it's a
65 degrees.
Yeah, so what happens, I put in a Facebook post, we need to get back to getting the Royal Society, the Cabinet Science in St. Petersburg. So we need to work on a relationship with Russia. No matter what Hillary says, prior to Obama, we had a good scientific relationship with Russia. When I worked with SDS in the 90s and into the early 2000s, up to the Bush administration, we did have a good relationship. And they did come and present papers, and we did talk as friends. We realized the Cold War ended in 1991. So come on, let's get past this. Whatever happened.
Yeah, do you know what the most detrimental factor is about when you get such a shock to a giant, basically,
Yeah.
a giant iceberg, basically like an even type thaw and an even freeze.
Yeah.
It's underneath
Yeah, but
because it all melts and all the water pours down inside. And I don't mean just a couple drops of water. I mean thousands of tons of water pouring in the ice, melting it and pushing it, and basically making the shell more brittle.
And Ron, before we go on here, one second, I'm just gonna give one point of fact. On PBS, I believe it was Nova, they did analysis of where Antarctica and Alaska were tropical zones. And the last time they were is when the carbon dioxide level reached the level that we have now. But at that time, on the East Coast and the West Coast, the waters receded 80 miles inland. So something to think about. That's why we need the doers to do and let the radical, critical extremists, let us work. We'll give you updates. Okay, go ahead, Ron, go ahead.
Well, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
gonna say
yeah,
the day
history.
after the Oscar, yesterday, back in 1825, the House of Representatives elected John Quincy Adams as president after no candidate received a majority of electoral votes.
1825.
Yeah, 200 years ago almost.
Yeah.
So in 1861, Provisional Congress of Confederate States of America elected Jefferson Davis president and Alexander Stephens vice president. Then in 1942, here's a kicker, 1942, daylight savings wartime went into effect in the U.S.
Yes,
with the clocks turned 1 hour forward
Day war.
to save on
Yeah.
electricity, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And then in 1943, a year later, the World War II Battle of Guadalcanal in the Southwest Pacific ended with the American victory over the Japanese forces after multiple deaths. Then in 1950, we had this speech with Joseph McCarthy, Republican from Wausau, Wisconsin, changed the State Department was riddled with communists, he thought.
well, my parents still believe that because they supported McCarthy and they actually knew him. They
Yeah.
actually knew him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of people thought he was an extremist, though. In 64, though, the Beatles were live for the first time on TV at Sullivan Show. I
Yeah,
remember
Sullivan
that.
Show.
And that was quite a setup for them.
well, that
Yeah.
basically what it did was they only were known in Britain, England, and all the UK.
The British invasion.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
British invasion. Yeah, it was very aptly and very creatively thought out. The British invasion, and
Yeah.
it launched. It launched the Beatles, made them like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you're an American.
But you have
Yeah.
to, but you have to remember.
We love your song."
But you have to remember when the Beatles performed though, it still was basically, it's still basically with certain camera stands. Most of the time the shots were above the waist. Like,
Oh yeah, no
The
choice.
Elvis Presley world.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, ever since Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Mhm.
71 brought the Apollo 14 spacecraft a return to Earth after man's third landing on the moon. And in 96, the Irish Republican Army ended its ceasefire with a truck bombing in London that killed 2 and injured 37.
Oh, bummer.
well, actually, that's the nice thing about this Brexit now. So far,
Yeah,
knock on wood, there hasn't been any 5-minute phone calls at Harrods or any,
yeah, right.
you remember that when you were in London at that time about how touchy it was.
I tried to forget.
Yeah.
Hello, Big Ben.
Yes.
All right, in 97, the Best Products closed its last of its stores, a victim of diminishing allure of catalog showroom concept of retailing and selling. And in 2001, the U.S. Navy submarine collided with a Japanese fishing boat off the Hawaiian coast, killing 9 men and boys aboard the boat. That was a real bummer.
Well,
Yeah.
true.
2004, anti-government rebels took over a nearly dozen towns in western Haiti as the death toll in the violence surprisingly rose to at least 40. No hurricane there.
No, but Haiti's always been. it's
Poor.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the neighbor Dominican Republic has been the opposite, very, very wealthy, so.
Yeah, it's definitely I
Two-
have
two-
nots and I have.
We have two different cultures.
Oh, you have two
Yeah.
distinctively.
Then, let's see,
Culture.
2005, a new postage stamps were printed to honor President Ronald Reagan. In 2008, the shuttle Atlantis, carrying a European-built science lab, docked with the International Space Station at that time.
Mhm.
Here, 2012, this is interesting, in Chicago. Federal and Illinois officials announced a $25 billion settlement with the nation's top 5 mortgage servicers that promised assistance for a select group of 1.75 million borrowers while setting new standards for how the struggling housing owners were treated. And then also in the city of Chicago in 2012, the city agreed to pay $6.2 million to settle a lawsuit regarding the police conduct during the 2003 downtown protest against the Iraqi war. About 800 people were detained and 500 of them were arrested
Oh, yeah, that.
in an
time, yeah,
action
that-
of federal appellate judge ruled as unjustified.
Oh, yeah, because that was a big thing at that time, just before the surge.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
2008.
I don't remember it, but I'm glad you
Yeah,
Well, I had a few friends that send me videos and.
did. Okay.
You might.
I mean, I really do remember 200009 where they basically said,
I just remember
if
1960.
you have a job, don't quit it, regardless how humiliating, how low base it may be. keep your job because 2009 basically had a new type of terminology
Mhm.
that became an aspect for every human being in this entire planet.
Yeah.
It's the economy,
Global-
stupid.
Global, no, Ron,
Yeah.
global recession.
Yeah,
That was never, ever
exactly.
happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody, every country has a recession, but when you say
Altogether, global
our
recession.
planet is broke,
Yeah, yeah, that was, yeah, in that 2000.
global recession,
Mm.
you know, it was, it could have turned into anarchy very easily. Yeah, I mean, it could have been the fall of civilization.
Well, actually, it was a crash. It was a depression. But the problem was a group of countries agreed to print money: the United States, England, China,
Yep,
Germany.
yeah, and that's probably what kept it going.
Yeah, okay, and then in 2013, hundreds of mourners and dignitaries, including First Lady Michelle Obama, packed a funeral service for Hadia Pendleton in Chicago, a 15-year-old honor student who was shot and killed on the 29th as she stood with friends in the park a mile from Barack Obama's home in the Kenwood district.
Oh, that's right. That's the young woman that was killed in
Yeah.
the Kenwood. And I remember, Mrs. Obama was quite shocked because she thought that was an
Next door almost, yeah.
upscale neighborhood.
And on a better note, in Missouri, All-American linebacker Michael Sam announced he was gay 3 months before the NFL
Yeah.
draft.
Oh my God.
But here's a question though: Who was now in the NFL? Who was the first? What year did the first player announce that they were gay in the NFL, and who was the coach of the team at that time? Well, the player who announced was gay, and that was in 1970 for the Washington Redskins.
1970?
And the coach,
All right.
as both you aspire should know, was Vincent T.
Lombardi.
Yes,
Vince Lombardi.
there we go.
Lombardi
Hello,
said he was.
The Bartonator.
The player,
He might have been gay, huh?
No,
Yeah, who knows?
the player Lombardi coach came out to Lombardi and said he was gay, and Lombardi actually sent.
Oh, okay.
He actually sent a memo to the whole NFL that no one was to tease him or discriminate, and he actually had to go that any restaurant that discriminated or hotel against
Wow.
any player, they would not stay.
That
So
would be
And
J.
an
Edgar Hoover.
unbelievable understanding,
Yeah.
unbelievable understanding individual, totally
Exactly.
professional. Don't make fun of him
And,
because he don't like
Yeah.
women.
and Lombardi was very devout. He went to church every morning and and did his thing.
Yeah, right.
You
A
know,
real Catholic.
Yeah.
Anyway, the St. Louis Rams, though, later drafted Sam in the 7th round, making him the first openly gay player in NFL history.
Exactly right. That's it. Yeah.
And then this week, we lost two actors. One was actor Robert Conrad.
Yep.
That
Yep.
died of heart failure in Malibu.
What was
Yeah.
he in? What remember?
Wow.
1960s television series
Yes.
Hawaiian Eye and The Wild Wild West.
Yes.
He was
And then
84.
And then on Columbo, he played that famous,
Right.
like kind of like
Also, he was in Baba Black Sheep too.
yeah, I know, but he played a character that was basically based on, the nutritionist. That, in the
Wh-
50s.
Which one? Robert Conrad?
Yeah, he played
Because this
John
weekend when I
Janos.
was studying my music theory and composition books, I had a Magnum PI from the 80s and Columbo from the 70s.
Yeah.
Small and laser disc.
Yeah, but
Come on,
I guess he
my
played
books.
a memorable character.
Mm.
Basically, that Columbo outsmarted him. That I know you killed him because the angle the body was found at. I mean, you have a shoe and a right shoe.
Yeah.
And how you can tie your.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, he was the guy
Yes,
who ate
he-
Chinese food and died in
Yeah,
the weight room.
Exactly.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
that-
explained, and then it says these pictures show here
Oh,
the only way he could tie his laces.
Yeah. Columbo, he was always
Yeah,
tricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
He pretended like he didn't
Well,
know what was
anyway,
going on.
Hold on. Yeah.
Going back on this, he was born, though, by the name of Conrad Robert Falkowski
Yes.
on March 1st
Polish.
in Chicago.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Polish.
gosh.
well, many Polish people do have to change the name or Anglicanize, because even like when I was going, my dad, even before I transitioned, my dad said, "Would you please change your last name to get rid of your Polish identity?" Because he remembers Mendelssohn, because Mendelssohn was actually born. His last name was actually Bartholomew.
Oh, they all changed their
And
name.
what happens? He published a few.
Even Kirk Douglas, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So what
Even
happens,
Boris Karloff's
so,
name is different.
so what
Yeah.
happens, sometimes they
Yeah.
actually.
William Pratt.
Yeah, yeah. So
William
some,
Pratt
so-
is Boris Karloff's
Yeah.
real name.
yeah, so, yeah, that's it.
Okay, and then the other
Yeah.
party that became deceased over the week met his fate in an auto accident was Orson Bean. He was killed
Oh.
by car in L.A.
Is that the,
Orson,
Orson Bean, yeah, he
is that
was
the,
91. Dr.
Orson-
Quinn, medicine woman.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
To tell the
not-
truth,
not
he was
Mr.
on for the game show in the
yeah,
50s.
yeah, not Mr. Bean, but.
oh,
He
yeah,
was
that's what I
actually-
was-
Oh, you're thinking about the English one.
Yeah, yeah. that-
No,
that's
Orson
not-
Bean,
that's-
yeah.
that's not-
Yeah. You know,
Mr. Bean.
a method actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised that, you know, with the
His
mention of
films-
Robert Conrad's death, any kind of Columbo, they mentioned his, character.
Oh, exactly.
They're playing there like, Columbo, you gotta get out there and run. I mean, yeah, that was a good one.
Oh,
Anyway, he was born in Burlington, Vermont, 1928, as Dallas Frederick Burroughs.
Hmm.
And he lost that Yankee accent that proved a perfect complement to the dry, iconic storytelling that established him as a popular humorist. Such films as notably Anatomy of a Murder and The Bean John Malkovich.
oh, yes,
Yes, and comedian Green musical Subways Are for Sleeping.
Hmm.
Roger Duck, amongst others. And then To Tell the Truth, the game required a panelist to quiz 3 contestants to figure out who they were.
It goes back that far.
Goes that
Yeah,
far
That
back,
far,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now transitioning
91.
into the
but
Oscars.
here's an interesting thing about To Tell the Truth, that in the 50s, they actually did have a Univac computer on set who demonstrated
Yeah,
the first, because what happened, they had the panelists, and one of the panelists, they asked each of the panelists, they said, well, if the computer selects you, would you go out on a dinner date with one of the guests? So they asked the panelists ahead of time to guess what things they liked in people. And the computer actually went through and these cards went through the sorter, and one card came on, and it was like Kitty Carlisle was asked to go out on a date with one of the guests. He said, yeah, I'll go out on dinner, go out for dinner, but that was.
Sperry Univac.
Yeah, they
that
actually
was what it was.
demonstrated
Yeah,
on the show.
yeah,
that was
really,
like-
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I'll leave the rest to you folks.
Okay.
Here was their choice
Oh,
tribune.
okay, all right.
Okay, did anybody ever hear about this, South Korean movie called Parasite?
No, never.
Oh, what?
I saw it, yeah, I saw it on Netflix.
Parasite?
Yeah, Parasite,
Oh, here it
that's,
is. You said,
Parasite, that
No,
was,
Parasite.
Parasite, yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
It's a South Korean movie, and I guess it's the first time South
Yeah, it
Korean
was-
movie has.
Yeah,
won.
foreign film even.
Yeah, well, what it was about is about a heiress, basically. She's about ready to inherit like a big company.
Oh, okay.
But what happens, she also has a younger sister who's just about a year younger than she is. But what happens is Sister Lee doesn't want to.
Is it filmed over in South Korea?
Yeah, on so.
Oh, okay, so.
So,
Okay.
25 million people.
yeah, so what happened.
But you know,
But the way the storyline goes is that basically is the Harris Lee wants to keep the company going and help the people and make the company undo some of the bad things they did in the past. The one who's a younger sister actually wants just to get the money and doesn't care what happens to the people. So she wants to basically just sell the company up to the highest bidder. And so what happens, what she does is at one point she has someone kidnap her sister, and the sister who's here doesn't know she's being kidnapped.
Hmm.
When she finally does figure it out, then basically that's when the story picks up as she tries to get
Right.
back to Seoul because what happens after because the father saying, well, and then the sister had to kidnap her sister, she was dead, so the father's about ready to turn the company over to a younger sister.
Okay. Was it dubbed?
No, it was is actually
Oh,
an
yeah.
actor speaking English.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
There are a
Well,
few sections that were basically in Korean, but basically
okay, well,
but it was really made for an international audience, so.
obviously,
Very-
obviously.
okay, but really, that would be the least on my bucket list. The other 4 that were nominated would be
Yes,
more
exactly.
towards
Yeah,
my attending.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once
Truthfully-
upon,
yeah, right,
Uh,
exactly, yeah.
once upon
Yeah, I
a
guess
moment
Brad
in
Pitt made
Hollywood.
it,
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
An
I-
impeachment
yeah,
joke.
yeah,
Yeah.
Friendly Fire, 1917, I don't know, really.
Well, what
I would think, yeah, I'd like to see 1917.
Yeah.
It's basically,
World War One.
Well, what-
well, it's a version of, Tom Hanks's
but it-
by World War One.
but it's actually based on two accounts.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, but the two accounts based upon is actually when the armistice was signed, not all units had telegraphic radios operational, so they had to send people out.
They didn't know.
So, but basically,
Bang,
so,
bang, bang.
so in England, there's still a special day that they celebrate for people who were killed in World War One when, after the armistice was signed.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's not friendly fire, it's some other type.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, so not everybody had the capability of
Got them.
instant news.
Exactly, right, so,
A
so,
telegraph.
and that's what 1917 is about, they're trying to get the memo out. So basically,
I remember back in
16,000 people are at risk,
Yeah.
including your brother.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I remember in
So,
1965 reading on the West Coast that there were some Japanese survivors that still felt the war was going on in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
oh, yeah, all the way
oh,
up to, like you said,
Yeah.
1965.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't believe it,
Yeah,
or
right,
they
Right.
covered themselves. And,
right,
were
exactly.
so loyal,
Yeah.
so loyal to the
Yeah.
emperor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
They
Yeah.
survived
He
also.
could do no harm. Yeah.
Exactly.
There
yeah.
were many women with their children threw themselves off cliffs and stuff like that, which was documented on one of the atrocities of
Oh,
and it makes us sound like the Americans were, bad monsters.
exactly.
Dug in the trenches.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean,
All right,
you
and
know,
on that note, I'll depart for another side of the world.
Okay, well, we'll see in a
Okay.
little bit.
All right,
there.
Ron.
Yeah,
Well,
okay,
and then,
have a good.
Yeah.
well, now, Matt, what do you have, now, are you gonna be able to perform today for a little bit, or?
If you want me to, I can. I
Sure,
haven't
all
tuned
right.
my
you got
guitar,
your
though.
guitar here.
Okay,
right here.
well,
Take a short break, maybe.
okay,
Tune up.
okay, well, why don't you go outside and
Where-
well, you can tune up in here while we're talking, why don't you?
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got some stuff I've been working on over the weekend.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
studies.
so, well, what happens, so one thing I wanted to mention about, because when we first started, the microphone was in the wrong position, but on climate change, really.
Is this okay now?
That's good, yeah, but on
Oh,
climate.
I sent you a text about Voyager 2.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
up and running.
oh, exactly, let's see, yeah,
It's over 12 and a half billion miles away.
it is,
And it's working fine. I guess it had some kind, it falls under like a spectrograph. It had to rotate,
oh, yeah,
and basically, unfortunately, one, you have to shut down the circuits or something like that, and it still was running. So when it rotated, the computer kind of overloaded itself.
And just before we start the musical side, I just want to mention, because when we started to show the microphones wrong position, on climate change, really, for people who are politically active, we appreciate that you're getting the word out, but please, on some of the radical aspects of the political activisms left and right,
Do you really think something that's over a half a century old is still quite, the wounds are still quite,
Yeah.
abscessing and all that?
Yeah.
Over a half a century later?
But let me just, but the thing is, for those like who are on the left and the right who are about active on climate change, for those who are getting the word out, we appreciate you getting the word out like Greta, Jane Fonda, but please, for people who are scientists, engineers, and doers like myself, we don't need your micromanager looking over our shoulder. We do better if you just let us get the funds so that we don't starve to death, because just an example, I do research and development, but every 2 weeks near the end of the month, it's still an issue for food for me, because basically I'm working on $20 near the end of the month, and I'm still trying to, but if you really want this solved, I'm not talking about big government programs. You'd be surprised how much a $1,000 grant would help just to buy computer equipment to do simulations, but please, no, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done, or are we there yet? We'll give you reports, we'll go or organize conferences if you want to, but please, keep the politics out of our labs. We work better that way.
Well, that's even what scientists have said.
yeah,
And then basically the whole idea was this, I think it was a couple of months ago. It was very interesting. Why shouldn't a scientist not run for office in the United States? I think a scientist, or, well, what I mean by a scientist, anthropologist, a doctor,
but my point of
not
view.
necessarily a lawyer, but a scientific individual could probably get this country back the way it should be.
And
My opinion, of course.
My point of view is that of Carl Sagan and Barry Commoner. Carl Sagan both agreed, let the scientists work, keep the politicians and the political activists, let them go over there, have the party, smoke whatever they want to do or something else, but let us work in our labs and our workshops, and please, if you don't know what we're doing, leave us the hell alone and let us work. Because by the time you ask us what you're doing, we lost our train of thought. And as artists, it takes time to gain a train of thought and keep it going. But if someone interrupts you, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Well, it may take us a while to get it back. So please, let the doers do it. Just leave the doers alone. Just it's good you guys are getting the word out, but please stick to facts and no more of this Republicans are evil or this person. Let's just stick to facts.
I agree,
Stick to
yeah.
facts. I mean,
Yeah, Republicans are evil, Democrats are the blessing, or
right,
vice versa.
right. No one
Enough's enough.
No one has a halo. So
Enough's enough.
And I mean, I have an idea for artificial photosynthesis, but again, the problem is I'm funding my research on my own income, and a lot of times it's down to I have to worry about trying to have $20 near the end of the month. But if I try to apply through government grants,
Yeah.
there's research bias. So if you guys really want to help out,
Why don't you kind of explain that to your listeners?
What research bias means is if you're an established researcher at a university, you can get funds for any project, even if your project doesn't have any benefit. It's what Proxima used to call the golden fleece, basically. You could get a
In other words, you don't have a reputation.
you have a reputation, but your project doesn't have any merit.
Because it basically, it's not like to say a high ivory,
Well,
like an industry, a scientific company.
was basically researcher dipping into to get their bigger share, even though they know the project's worthless. Well, a younger researcher or someone who's not established can't even get money to start. Because just to give you an example, to start my research, I had to update my computer systems to Windows 10 and Linux, and that meant saving and skimping to do it. But and even like this project I have for artificial photosynthesis, I mean, it's doable, but the problem is if I apply through a state government grant, I won't get it because I don't have the research reputation for grant money. So you guys who are doing the talking, Greta, Jane Fonda, you really want to help.
Oh, yeah, Greta.
You really want to help. Set up a GoFundMe page for us. So basically,
That's not a bad idea.
$1,000, even $1,000 would help. You'd see great progress being done on solving climate change because we just need so much just to get the prototype experiments done. Like to be able to set up a table with some experiments and do some Coulomb experiments, some others to prove the concept. Then once we prove the concept, then we can find someone like the way we do in the Valley. Find some venture capital, find some angel investors to scale this up and do it. But we do need to make the prototype. So to Jane Fonda, Greta, and us, that way you can help us constructively because basically you're getting people to help.
You're getting the word out,
Getting the
but
word-
it's basically, go ahead, Diana.
Go fund it, but in the lab, please, no cameras. And when we're working lab, please leave us the hell alone. I used the word hell to emphasize. I really do mean leave us alone. No knocking on the door. If you want us to meet you, text us, and then wait for us to text back. Just don't keep sending a text like, oh, text. Just wait for us to text because what happens when we're on a roll with an idea, we have to. It's like riding a wave. You got to ride this wave until you get to the beach, or you lose the thought and that. So
Okay.
well, Matt, let's see how are you coming? Are you set?
Yeah, I couldn't get it tuned perfectly today. I'm gonna do the best I can.
All right, well, we're gonna have Matt do a musical interlude for us. I'll just switch the camera over. And, let's see, just a minute. No, Nikita, if we can just take a look and see if we got the camera in the right position here. Let's see. Can you help out here? Oh, there we go.
All right, now remember, get Matt big. Last time he was too small.
Oh,
Keep going, just keep going. Yeah,
Right there?
Closer to Mandyville.
All right.
okay, hold on.
Hi, Nikita. How you
Well, no,
doing?
I'm not in there. There, see, now you're centered.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
now we're centered, man.
Oh, okay,
The whole is
okay.
centered.
Okay, well, so we'll have
You're all
Matt,
set?
Matt do our musical
Thanks,
interlude
Nikita.
whenever you're ready, Matt. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Hi, guys, it's
Oh.
Matt here.
I,
Beautiful. What?
No, Matt, go ahead.
It's a beautiful sunshiny day today in Kenosha. We're inside the library, and it's me, Nikita, and Diana. Ron's out by the computer out there. And I'm here. I've been practicing some music theory and composition books all weekend since we had a snow day yesterday and some other weather that was coming down. So I just decided to just study and play all weekend. I have some themes here. They're not all put together. I'm still learning and growing and learning about intervals and key signatures, chord progressions, a lot of different things that make up the music language of music in Western society, even in Greek cultures as well. So I have some hymns. Have some, sorry.
Bom, 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 bom.
I had some themes.
praise the Lord. Just start out with praise the Lord.
Okay, this might not be perfect, but it's just, at least you can get the gist of what I'm trying to do here with some things I'm working on. The guitar's not in tune.
Oh, okay, okay, so.
That sounds,
Sorry, guys.
Oh, no,
Okay, well-
no, I know that happens. I've had that happen with my violin too, like that as well, my guitar.
Yeah, oh, sorry. For what I want to do is start a tune here. I just,
Oh, okay, no, take your time.
go ahead.
Take your
Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
'cause,
You can just edit that part.
yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just let him do it.
One time when I was in the orchestra, when I performed the violin solo, I actually had my A string break on me when I was performing the solo.
Oh, wow.
oh, really? Oh,
So,
Yeah,
so what I had to
that's-
do for the solo, I had to go way up in the upper position of the board on the D string. So actually what happened, you heard, the second G above middle C sounding as a D
So
string.
pretending,
So-
that
so-
nobody would notice that the A is.
Exactly, yeah, so,
Well,
and actually I won a special medal for that because the judges said,
They saw that happen.
yeah, because no, in the live performances, actually our music, I was performing Vivaldi's, a concerto and a book.
So you adapted yourself.
I adapted, yeah, I first piano.
But, yeah, I guess the judges saw you do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
And that's what helped from learning the cello, because in cello you play in the upper part of the keyboard. Because in some places actually what happens, you get a better forward tone when you go in the
Okay.
upper part of the keyboard and stuff like that.
So, yeah, did you see that?
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, it
That's
takes a
very
while to
pretty.
get into it. I have to
Very
warm
pretty.
up first, so.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's very nice, very.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I don't want to say it on the radio. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
I gotta watch what I say.
Oh, exactly. So, well, what's your next song?
Oh, Diana. Well, first thing I'm gonna tell you, I'm so happy just to be alive and to be here. This whole thing is beautiful.
Oh,
I'm
it
having a
is.
great time here.
And also, just to mention, the acoustics in this room are wonderful.
Yeah, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it too.
It
Me
really
too.
does sound like a real recording.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So for those of you watching and hearing this, let us know your thought about the sound and the video and, the topics like that. Just send a message to this YouTube channel and we'll do viewer mail in a little bit once we get enough. So
I mean.
so we'll
Nice.
do, but just remember though, what happens though is some viewer mail we may have to edit because we don't want, we do have to follow certain guidelines, but we'll try to be as open as possible on viewer mail. And so whatever you write us, just make sure you're okay if we read it over the air.
And why don't you just mention any kind of like malware or any kind of trolls, please,
Yeah.
don't waste your time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not worth it.
Yeah, so,
Wait, what did you just say?
well, any trolls are haters.
What's a troll?
Well, a troll is someone basically who tries to sort of, be a completely negative person to anything you're doing.
Oh, when I think of like The Hobbit.
Yeah,
I always think of like that. Those
Well,
Well,
movies,
that's the term they
trolls.
call it. They call it that these people.
but those are the evil trolls. Those are the evil trolls.
Weird. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, why don't you go on to the next selection?
The next selection. Okay, yeah. Hang
Yeah.
on a second here. See, when it gets in tune, you get in sync with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I can hear it.
Oh, yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, I don't mind does that too. That's-
Little vibration.
Now the theme.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's excellent.
Did you like the feeling of it?
I did. Well, one thing came to mind though.
Yeah, what's that?
If you want, I could, and this said, if you want, I could borrow your guitar and just do one thing. that
You
I-
want to?
Sure.
Oh, sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Be careful.
oh, yes, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, with Karen Love and Light, they give you Matt's guitar.
Okay.
There you go. Have
Very
fun.
nice, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, the
You're
kids.
very professional. I
Yeah.
mean, you sounded like, you could be in a bar or a nightclub playing.
Well, now,
I mean, you're good now.
my
cool,
themes are more
Thanks for the vote
like,
of confidence. Appreciate that, Bill.
my themes are more like classical guitar with the fusion of the blues.
Actually, I guess I'm called a dude.
You're the dude?
That's what, according to young people, bro is for you. That means a man, but,
Oh, I didn't mean anything by it.
oh, I know,
it's-
it's crazy. I'm not kidding you.
Wait,
I learned that from a 12-and-a-half-year-old young man. I said, what do you call what do you call women? He goes, dudes. So then his grandmother asked, well, what does that mean to me?
What
And
did she say?
he said, turn old dude.
Nikita,
Oh, okay.
I'm some of them soft, so.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Nice. Excellent.
And then another theme I have, so
Yeah,
starts
it's good.
with, starts with the
Okay.
blues, starts with the blues, we have.
Okay. Yeah, it's very good,
I'm
very
sort of,
nice.
sort of a little bit of a future of classical guitar and blues.
That's
So-
awesome. Yeah, it sounded classical.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
that's,
nice.
awesome.
yeah, so, that's all, so,
Yeah, very nice, Daniel.
oh, thank you, thank you. I just started replaying
I'm
again.
listening. What were you gonna say?
Well, I just started to take up the guitar, last January, and that, so I bought one at Walmart and stuff like that, also. But your strings are a lot better on mine, because mine, my strings seem like they still need to be broken in. Your strings seem like they're broken in like that, though, so,
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Yeah, and yours, because you don't play it all the time?
yeah.
That's
Well, well, what happens
Yeah.
with my diabetes, I sometimes have to prick so sometimes I play with glove on, and that helps.
Really?
Yeah.
You put a glove on your left hand, and
Yeah.
then you can feel and embrace the strings okay like that?
Exactly, yeah, because sometimes
It's
I
like
have,
like a really thin glove?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
yeah, because
Okay.
because see what happens when you're diabetic, you have to prick your fingers, and sometimes I do my left hand, so.
Oh, that's gotta hurt a
And
little.
that does sting a lot. so-
Yeah, I do that too. It's every morning. It's this one right here,
Yeah, yeah.
same finger.
So that's, okay, so
Oh.
you just do, okay, maybe that's what I should do, because when I put the glove on, that helps, but I know your strings feel softer than mine.
Is
so-
that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that,
is it acoustic or electric?
it's acoustic, it's the same as yours.
It's just like
It's
that,
still,
yeah.
it's still strings, but basically, you should, maybe I should bring one and have you look at mine. but-
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's check it out. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, well, do you want to bring us home with one more thing?
Sure, why not? Let me think here. What can I do here? Let's do a minor riff.
Okay.
Whoops.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
no,
all right.
oh, no, I have the same issue.
And you told me I do it in Spanish.
Exactly, no.
And when I play her guitar, I do Spanish. Nice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
wait till I get
wonderful.
my recording device.
Oh, exactly, right, then we can do, no, now it's not,
We
now
can
it's.
keep expanding. We all keep learning and growing in all different ways.
Oh, exactly, exactly.
That's part of the point of this
No,
whole thing.
no, now we'll come back for a closing topic. So
Okay.
Nikita, let's move the, let's see,
How'd you like that? Would you like the minor chord one?
oh, that was good, that was
Kind of
good.
spooky, eh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like all the, definitely, on a professional caliber.
Cool.
Hopefully.
Every time I do time travel, I think of you guys in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. And then I was just kind of singing a little in the background. And we just kind of had like a sequence.
The sequence,
Oh,
man, the
exactly,
sequencer.
exactly. No,
The sequencer.
well, now, just to remind everybody, our website is Ideas with Diana on Twitter. So basically it's IDEASWITHDIANA on Twitter. And also you can find us on SoundCloud, because we'll have a link to SoundCloud on there as well. And with the link to the YouTube channel too.
Oh, nice.
In the YouTube channel, remember it's Diana1K2. Because you'll see Diana 1 on the YouTube, but it's actually Diana1K2 when you search on YouTube.
Okay.
Well, for closing thoughts, would you like to start, Mayor, for closing thoughts for the week? What would you?
Yeah, well, it's 2020 now, and it's a brand new year, brand new decade. Anything's possible. Yeah, just I just wanted to say I love you and I care about you. That's all.
And Nikita, what would you like to say as a closing thought?
Basically just, I'm kind of glad, maybe this political inferno.
Yes, finally.
Yeah, I mean,
What are you talking about? What political inferno?
political inferno, the
Impeachment.
impeachment.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi with her ultimate, insult, basically.
What'd she say about it?
Well,
She didn't have to say a word. She just
Okay.
tore up the script.
looked up the
Whoa.
State of the Union speech.
She
on
tore up the
TV.
State of Union, and basically the people
Okay.
who were mentioned in this were saying that they felt like they were being like thrown out like trash. So, Nancy Pelosi, personally, I think it's best for you to step down.
Well,
God bless whatever you may be doing later.
Well, my point is to the Democratic Party, there's a lot of stuff we have to do, and the Republican Party has a lot of stuff to do. But if we're gonna act like spoiled kids that's saying, well, that lose the game because of called third strike, and we're gonna say, no, that was a strike, you are interfere, it was an umpire, no, we won this game. If I would have been able to stand for one more bat, we could have won this game. Look, election 2016 occurred. President was elected. In 2018, a Congress was elected. I thought in 2018, when there was all this media, that basically we had moved past 2016.
Are we supposed to, at a certain time in our lives, kind of act our age?
Yeah, so
Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
So what happened, so
I
my
agree.
closing thought is, okay, look, you guys yelled at the umpire now with the impeachment, pointing your fingers about the third strike. It's like the Andy Griffith show when Andy Griffith had to call the third strike on Mayberry, and Mayberry lost the game. Everyone in the town hated him for a while, but finally one person, sports editor who was a sportsman, realized that as an umpire, Andy did the right thing. He saw a strike, he called a strike. So, okay, so the strike has been called, 2016 passed, so can we now please just move on and forward to solving what we need to solve on both sides of the aisle and act as professionals? Many of you graduated from Bowdoin College, which I went to have my advanced medical training. So, Bowdoin College, whose famous alumni were Longfellow and Thoreau, they would even say, let's move on and forward, guys, and let's stop acting like little kids about the call third strike and the sandlot at the baseball game. We got other problems to solve. Let's work together again. So, and if you're not going to work together, then like Nikita said, maybe it's time you do retire.
Yeah. I mean, it just comes down to it. I mean, I it's like Nancy Pelosi basically, hey, look at me, I am so special,
Well,
and basically, I've never liked that type of a personality in a person.
well, I mean, and I'm not singling anyone, but basically, look, we're also.
Well, I'm not singling it out.
No.
It's a reality.
Right,
It
right,
actually
right,
happened in
right.
front of how many?
We're all
I forgot how many
we're all
100 million
professionals.
people
Let
watched
let
it.
me just give you an example just to some of our viewers here. I'm actually a fifth generation registered Republican in Wisconsin. Nikita's a model Republican. Matt is a Democrat.
I am?
Yeah, and
You are?
Oh, I didn't know I belonged to any party.
Well,
Why am I a Democrat?
But what happens? We're not fighting with each other. We're not ripping up newspapers. We're talking together as a group.
But why am I a Democrat?
Well, I just saw based on your views or so. I saw. I didn't mean.
Oh, that's okay. I don't really follow politics that much.
All right,
I'm more
so-
into music.
Yeah, I'm actually an existentialism, whatever.
Well, but my point is,
Can't even say
my point is all.
Yeah, man, it's a Democrat.
But my point is, we all have different views, but yet we can work together. Why
Yeah,
can't?
well, yeah,
why-
that's what we're doing.
Why can't you guys in
Learn
DC work together? If we can work together, you guys in DC can work together. I mean,
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah.
fun.
So,
Peace, everyone.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so that's the end. So the ending thought is, let's move on from 2016, 2008. This is 2020. Let's work together. The call third strike has been done. That game's over. Now it's work to solving the country's problems.
Yes, sounds good to me.
Yeah, ideas. This has been ideas
How
with
about the
Diana.
world?
Exactly, ideas
Wow.
with Diana. And our next podcast will be either next Monday at 2:00 or next Tuesday, depending on our reservation for the conference room at the library.
Take care, everyone.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, that's,
Good evening, yeah.
Sorry it took me so long to tune my guitar. I
Oh,
was
well,
just having a
that's-
problem with it.
no,
I
that's-
can't play it when it's out of tune. It just blows everything into proportion.
no, don't worry, Matt. That's okay.